You didn't break the cycle if you have to fight yourself from falling back to it. If you have to be around other people all the time, if you have to be distracted, if you have to be busy, even if you have to be disciplined to some extent, because that discipline, it's not necessarily you in a new identity getting yourself to do things consistently, but it's you kind of forcing yourself into trying to stay out of the cycle, but also not having formed a new identity yet. You need to form a new identity. If you still have that old identity, let's say you were fat and now you're not fat, now you're in shape, and you're being disciplined by taking yourself to the gym and eating healthy, but you haven't formed a new identity yet. Not in the sense that you haven't formed new habits. You have formed new habits. You have formed this new personality, I guess you would say, connected to the ego, but you haven't formed a complete new reconstruction of your identity. In order to do that, let me explain. So I'll give you an example as myself. So I got into shape and I was going to the gym consistently. I was eating healthy. I was doing all the right things, and I had formed those habits, healthy habits, but as soon as I stopped doing those things, I started putting on weight again. Not because I wasn't following through and being disciplined, but because my identity, I was still the old identity, and I still had this little fear of being bigger, and I was forcing myself to stay disciplined and be busy, not necessarily in the way that you would think. That it's not, yes, it was healthy, but kinda, not really. But if you have to keep yourself busy and in a certain routine to maintain who you are, what you've built, you haven't fully embodied that identity yet. Because when I was more in shape, well, a few years later, I had finally constructed a new identity. I was going to the gym. Yes, it took discipline in the sense that I did have to be disciplined in going consistently, but I didn't necessarily have to force myself. Going to the gym was enjoyable. I didn't know what else to do if I didn't go to the gym. It was part of my new identity. It's just what I did. And I didn't have to go to the gym, just working out. That's part of my identity. So I stayed in shape regardless of what I was doing, regardless of where I was, because that's just who I am. That's just who I am. And I would eat healthy regardless. I wouldn't eat processed foods. I wouldn't eat junk food, because that's just not who I am anymore. I don't even have to keep myself. I don't get tempted by that stuff because it's just not me anymore. And I don't even think about who I used to be. That's in the past. That's gone. I don't think in the mindset. If you're thinking, oh, I'm tempted by those chips, I'm tempted by this, I'm tempted by that, it's because you are still in the process of constructing a new identity. You haven't fully embodied that new identity yet. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the temptation. Having the temptation is proof that you want to change and you're forcing yourself to get there, but you haven't fully gotten there yet. If you have to not be alone all the time, well, no, yeah. If you have to keep yourself from being alone, you're avoiding something, you're avoiding sitting with something, and that means you haven't constructed a new identity yet. You need to form a new identity. And yes, sometimes that does take forcing yourself, being disciplined, but it's not discipline, it's forcing yourself to do things that aren't who you are yet so that it can become who you are, but also letting that sit with you for long enough that you don't even need to be doing that specific thing to maintain your new identity. For example, going to the gym. I went to the gym for 2 years, and then until it fully became part of my identity where I want to work out. And what did it take me? Truly, what did it take me? It took me falling apart and stop going to the gym completely until now. I'm not as in shape as I used to be, of course, because I lost muscle, but now I go on walks, I go on runs because that's just who I am. I work out because that's just who I am. I want to do it now because I have completely reconstructed who I am. Sometimes it takes you falling apart. Sometimes it takes you gaining weight again until you finally reach that point where you are so changed that you don't even want to crave things. You don't even have temptations anymore because that's just not who you are anymore. You've completely changed. Sometimes going through certain struggles and not pushing yourself, but powering through, just going through what you used to go through, but now as someone that has experienced the complete opposite. Being fat and experiencing working out and being in shape, and then being fat again. It completely reconstructs your identity. I'm not saying you have to be fat again or you have to go and make yourself suffer again. But if you are in a position in your life where you still have temptations to go back, then go back. Clearly you're meant to go back because you haven't fully completed the cycle. The cycle is still incomplete, and if it's incomplete, you are either going to be fighting yourself for the rest of your life and having to discipline yourself by basically it's not even discipline, it's just forcing yourself to do things that are outside of your identity, or you just give yourself some time, give yourself some patience, let yourself go back to that. Of course, this does not apply to certain substances, if you know what I mean. I'm not talking about harmful things. I'm talking about like physique. But there are other things that you can apply this to. But let yourself gain some weight again. Let yourself gain as much weight as you need to finally be like, okay, this is it. I'm done. And sometimes if you're the kind of person that completely changed your identity the first time, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people that still feel the urge to go back, whether it be consciously or subconsciously. They just feel tied back to their identity, feels tied to the old cycle still. Because if you are alone, you are not distracted, and you are not forcing yourself to do anything, and you feel that, your cycle isn't complete, and that's okay. That's okay, because I would gain the weight again as many times as I needed to. I would do it all over again because I lost weight, I gained weight, I lost weight, I gained weight, I lost weight, I gained weight, until finally I broke that cycle. I was done. I was like, this is it. Like, I finally realized you have breakthroughs when you let yourself sit in the cycle, because you can't just out of ego, out of impatience and pride, rush yourself out of a cycle by forcing yourself out. For example, another example, I really wanted to block 2 people in my life, and I wanted them out of my life. I wanted them out. So I blocked them. Guess what? They came back. The cycle had to fulfill itself. Certain things needed to happen. Doesn't matter. I don't need to know why. I don't need to know anything. But it did serve a certain purpose for both of us. I learned my lesson. They learned theirs. But if I had just run away out of ego and blocked them, first of all, that's not how it works. The universe is gonna make you complete the cycle regardless. Unless you fight the universe and continue fighting and pushing yourself to a point of burnout where you fall back into the cycle again so that you can complete it. things take time, and not always, but you can't act out of ego when you know that the cycle is not complete and you have not fully learned what you needed to learn and embodied what you needed to embody. Because I had to gain weight and lose weight and gain weight and lose weight and gain weight and lose weight to realize it had nothing to do with my lack of discipline in maintaining this physique. It had nothing to do with my lack of discipline, because I was disciplined. It had to do with my identity. My identity wasn't sticking to it. You have to, this is the truth, you have to want to do stuff, because the people whose identities embody physical activity, they want to do stuff. Sure, can they wake up in the morning and think, oh, I'm tired, I don't want to go to the gym, or I'm tired, I don't want to go run? Sure. Everyone has rough days, but that's not a consistent thing for them. They don't feel burdened going on runs or getting their physical activity in. They enjoy it. That's the truth. Deep down, they enjoy it and they want to do it. Deep down, they want to do it regardless of how they feel emotionally. And that plus discipline takes you very far. And the fact that their identity supports and has the capacity to hold that way of being, to hold that lifestyle. If you don't have the identity that aligns with where you want to be, don't rush the process of forming it. Because do you want your identity to be unbreakable? Or do you want to rush the process and constantly feel like if something got extreme enough, you would break? Personally, I would rather go through all the suffering, and it's not even just suffering, it's fulfilling certain desires that you know are going to teach you something valuable. I would rather go through that and then reach a point where, oh yeah, I am so in my new identity that I don't even look at what I used to buy. Those bags of chips that I used to buy, I don't crave them. I don't even like them. It has no effect on me. I have no temptations to buy it. I have no temptations to binge on it. I have no, whatever. And I used to be so focused on food. I felt like I had to finish all the food before I went on a diet. So all the junk food that I had bought, I binge ate all of it so that I could finally get rid of it, because I couldn't throw it away. Because I bought all of it. I had to finish it. But now, if I were in a position like that, where I just magically had a lot of junk food in my house, and I wanted to go on a diet, I would just leave it there. Whatever. Just go on the diet. Whatever. Or throw it away. Whatever. I don't care. These things don't affect me anymore. They don't affect me. It's better, in my opinion, to take years and then be in such a new identity that it's like you're in a completely different, you're in a different human body. You have a completely different brain, because when you look back and who you used to be is so stranger to you, you can't even think of why. Why were they doing that? How were they doing that? How could they struggle like this? I would rather it take years and do it the right way than to rush the process and to have to force myself to do things for the rest of my life out of discipline. The real truth is, the real discipline is sticking to that cycle for years until you know it's complete. Because deep down in your gut, you know when you're not finished. You're not finished with it. How many bags of chips did I have to binge on before I finally had enough? It was done. I was done with it. How much weight did I have to gain until it was enough? Done. And not just, oh, I'm done with this, I'm gonna go on a diet. and then stop eating the chips and then still having the urge. I mean, really done. I mean, completely different person level of done. Like, this is not me anymore. I'm done. Done. That's the real discipline. That's the real discipline, is sticking to that, knowing it's making you suffer, but trusting that there is a part of you that has unfinished business with whatever you're attached to, and let yourself take your time to completely detach from it so that you can form a new identity where you are not attached to that at all. It's not even in your vicinity, energetic vicinity, where you can be around people that are binging and it doesn't trigger you. You're not thinking of the past. If I was around someone that was binging right now, okay, I wouldn't even think, how can I help them? Because I don't even know. It's like I have this new brain. I am not in that headspace of thinking about those things, even thinking about those things. It's gone. It's gone. Sure, yes, I could. The truth is I could help them with their binging problem, but not out of necessarily speaking from recent experience. Even if my experience was recent time-wise, it's not recent in the sense that in my identity, you know what I mean? Like, I have this new identity. It feels like I jumped from one life to another, like completely jumped. And yes, it does require discipline to stay active and to do certain things. But if you feel like it takes more than discipline, like it takes you forcing yourself to do these things, it's because you haven't formed a new identity yet. And I know it sounds crazy to say let yourself suffer for longer than you feel like you deserve to, but suffering is where you gain. Suffering is where you gain. Just gain. You just gain in all aspects. You gain wisdom. You gain life experience. You gain knowledge of how to work through certain things. And you're shedding the old version of yourself bit by bit, whether you know it or not, whether you feel it or not. And one day you wake up and you're a new person. Truly, truly. Yeah. If you have to fight yourself, you're not done. You're not done yet. And one day you're gonna break. You're gonna burn out from the lifestyle of pushing yourself, pushing. And or from distracting yourself, from staying away from being alone, from being around other people. You're gonna be alone for a little bit, and then you're gonna be like, oh shit. And things are gonna come back to you. And it's your choice whether you face them or whether you decide out of ego to run away from them again and push yourself out of discipline into a new life, when you know that that's not how that works. You have to completely fulfill the cycle and fully break free from it, to a point where, let's say, I have formed a completely new identity, me being alone, having a lot of free time. I'm not even thinking about this stuff anymore. I have a completely new identity. If you're alone, you have free time, and you're still thinking about certain things that are attached to the old habits, you're not done yet. That's the truth. You're not done yet. And I'm not saying you have to suffer to achieve your goals. You can still achieve your goals, but it's not going to feel as fulfilling because you're not in that new identity completely. You have done this out of ego and rushing. You have left yourself incomplete in your growth. If you want to have the full highest capacity of growth, you need to face what you've been running from. And the truth is, doing things out of discipline and to better yourself when you know it's something deeper than that, that's running away from yourself. That's the truth. You need to face who you are and accept that this is who you are so that you can release it, so that you can fully release it. Fully release it. Complete the cycle, fully release that version of you. You become a new person. You're not even thinking about what you used to think about. You're not even thinking about the struggles. That's not even who you are anymore. Your memories are renewed. Like you're not, it's so distant. It's like you're looking at a past life. You're not even looking at this version of you. You know what I mean? I don't even know how to explain it well because, but it's what I've been through. And I've noticed that a lot of people have not. They haven't. They've just developed new habits and developed a new persona, but they haven't developed a fully formed new identity, because identity is soul-based. Personality, that's ego-based. That can be that can go away as soon as you stop doing certain things. I am still this person regardless of what I do, because I can go and I can eat at restaurants in Thailand, but I'm eating good food. I'm not eating processed foods. I'm not eating fried foods. I'm eating healthy chicken and rice. But that's not the point. That's a habit. I'm not talking about habits. Habits do not necessarily form a new identity. You can have your old identity and still have newly formed habits, which require you to have more than discipline, forcing yourself to do things because you don't have the new identity to embody this way of being. What I'm trying to say is, I'm not going to binge on my food. It doesn't matter. This is the thing. It doesn't matter what I eat, whether it's healthy or not. I'm not going to binge on it. I can buy an unhealthy chocolate bar when I'm on vacation, and I won't eat the whole thing. Sounds crazy. And it doesn't take self-control. It doesn't take self-control. It's just who I am now. It's just who I am. It's just what I do. I don't even want to eat the whole bar. I have no desire to do the things that I used to do. I don't even remember what I used to do. Like, it's not something I keep on the top of my mind because it's not necessary to remember these things, because it doesn't serve. It isn't this new identity. It's attached to an old identity, which is basically attached to another human being at that point, basically, because it's not who I am. So I don't even need to remember certain lessons because they are not applicable in my life anymore, because it's not who I am anymore, which sounds crazy, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And it was worth the years of suffering through binging, restricting, going to the gym, forcing myself, raising my cortisol by lifting super heavy because I felt like I needed to have this certain physique, I needed to look like this, I need to be like this. Now, I don't lift with weights. Well, I don't lift. I work out in different ways because I respect my body, and I want to, and I'm not saying lifting is bad, but for me personally, I respect my body and I want to take care of it. And I want to move it, and for some reason, lifting is not that form of movement that I crave. I want to sprint, which sounds crazy because my ego did not want to run. She was thinking, oh no, you're gonna lose your muscle, you're gonna do this. No, this doesn't fit this doesn't fit this personality. This doesn't fit this. Now, I sprint. With no goal in mind, I just sprint for fun. Because I want to. Because it's fun. Which sounds crazy, right? It's a new identity. That's how you know you're in a new identity. There's this guy on the internet. He is a fitness influencer, and he talks about how he has to keep himself from the urge to binge again and gain the weight again. You're not done with that old identity. You gotta fulfill that. I'm not saying you have to gain the weight. I'm not saying you have to go crazy. That's what I did. I don't think I had to do that, but I just wanted to get it over with. But I think for him, he has to complete something to a point where he is completely done with it and no longer wants it, so that he can fully embody his new identity. Otherwise, it's incomplete and he has to force himself on top of discipline. Discipline is so much harder when you have to truly force yourself into a new. Think about it. You're an old identity. You're trying to form a new identity. You have these attachments. You have to release the attachments. The attachments are what keep you in the old identity and the ego of the old identity. You're doing these things that correlate with the new identity. You're developing habits, but you're still in the old identity. In order to be in the new identity, you have to release the attachments. I had an attachment to food. I was emotionally eating. I was eating for fulfilling emotional wounds, really, because I had these wounds from childhood that had to do with food, and so I ate. And until I healed that wound and released the attachment, I was fully able to embody the new identity that didn't require me to stick to certain habits. I can do whatever, free flowing. I don't have to just go to the gym 6 times a week and count my calories and count my steps and count my macros and count my weight. I have the ultimate freedom. I can do whatever I want. To some extent, obviously, because I still have values that are deeply rooted inside me, regardless of what identity I'm embodying. But I can go to the grocery store and I don't have any temptations that I'm fighting. If I want to eat something, I'm going to buy it. I don't crave to binge on anything. I don't crave unhealthy foods that I used to. For example, the chips. I get whatever foods I want, and I'm not going to gain weight from them because I'm a new person. Like, the freedom is insane. I have completely freed the shackles of my old self and become this new person completely. And now I can do things freely. Like, it doesn't matter. That's so cool. So of course I want it for you too. But yeah, I hope this explained things well. Don't run away from cycles that haven't been fully completed yet, because you're going to make yourself suffer slowly in the long term, rather than, sure, you're suffering to a more extreme, but in a shorter time span, and by the time you get over it and get through it, you're a completely new person. Completely. You're done. It's completely done with. Versus you're slowly and subtly suffering by just having that itch, that attachment, that connection to the old self, to the old personality, to the old persona that is still partially your current identity. So face yourself, face the truth, finish the cycle, complete the cycle so that you can embody the new identity. And then you're completely free for life, for good. There's no going back after that. There's no going back. And I know that sometimes that can actually be scary, because for a long time I didn't want it to be that way. I wanted to continue eating my chips, so I let myself do that. Did I gain weight? Yes. Did I have to force myself to do certain things so that I wouldn't gain weight? Yes. Did I still binge on the chips? Yes. Did I suffer? Yes. But it was worth it. Sure, it was a higher amount of suffering than what I would have had to do with if I had taken my time and done things slowly, but I don't think that was worth it. I want to get it over with and be done with for the rest of my life. And now, I don't even crave chips. I don't really care. I don't care. That old identity, damn, she had a stronghold. She did not want to let go. So yeah, it took a lot of suffering. And took time too. 2 years, 2 or 3 years. It was worth it though. But really, not even 2 to 3 years. It took 2 to 3 years of consistent and constant effort of trying to break the cycle, consciously wanting to break the cycle. I had gone through that cycle my entire life. But it was until 2 to 3 years ago that I was like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to change my life. I started by changing my habits, and I noticed how the habits weren't sticking. Like, yes, I was disciplined, I continued doing the habits, but it felt really difficult to continue with the habits because I hadn't embodied a new identity. So I had to face, okay, why? Why can't I embody this new identity? Oh, I have these attachments. Oh, it's connected to these old wounds. Oh, it's connected to this childhood trauma. Oh, it's connected to this. So much stuff. Think about it. Your entire childhood you lived like this. Goodness. What could have caused an entire change of your life? Change of being? It must have been some deep shit, right? It takes time to heal that and to release that attachment. But now, I'm a new person, and it's so cool, and it's so freeing. Would you rather have to force yourself into trying to be this new identity and only just being the personality that and the persona, which is the ego, the surface level person version of you that is connected to it? Or would you rather completely and fully and in all levels be the new identity? Because one way is going to be real quick. You don't even have to suffer at all. But you will have certain temptations. You will have certain attachments because you're not fully done with who you are. Who you are, not who you were, because it's not who you were yet. It's not fully in the past yet until you fully release that entire identity. Or would you rather suck it up, get it over with, do the suffering, do the shadow work, face yourself, face the truth, and for as long as it takes, sure, it can take a couple months, it can take 5 years. It's really up to you, and not in the sense that you can control it, but in the sense that, okay, what is your pace of healing through things? What is your pace of working through things? Sometimes you won't be done with it until 5 years later, and then you're like, okay, this is it. I'm done. I'm a new person. Truly. I'm a new person. I chose that path because it's more disciplined to go down that path truly. To face yourself, to suffer, knowing that you could stop the suffering, but it wouldn't fully stick because that's not who you are yet. Your choice. I'm not saying you have to go down a certain path. I'm not saying you have to suffer. Your choice. But if you still feel attached to something, you haven't fully addressed the old attachments, the old you. You're still that version of you, deep down. So what's your choice?